with Ashley Dawn. I have just been driving and thinking, and I'm like, I need to record this so I don't forget, so I share it with y'all, because hopefully my little nuggets of wisdom come in handy. I used to do a thing called soul food, and every day I would like drop a little nugget of soul food and then encourage everyone to look into it, meditate on it, etc. So today I'm just driving, and I was thinking about this the other day with my mom when we were driving. Okay, so you're driving down the road, right? And there will be nobody behind you, and there will be a car either on your right or on your left, and they will cut you off, like literally almost hit you, because they want to get in your lane, instead of just slowing down just a little bit and getting behind you, because there's nobody behind you, but there's somebody in front of you, and they just hurry and get in front of you. That is a lack of consideration. They are, I call them center of the universe people. They think that the world revolves around them. Sadly, 90% of the people in the world have that mentality. They truly believe that the world revolves around them, and they truly believe that, you know, it's their world, we're just living in it, and they're going to do what they please, when they please, how they please, and they don't care about the effects of their actions on anybody else. I am part of that 10% that considers everyone, right? Like in the Bible where it says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Well, first you got to love God. Then you got to love yourself. That's very important. If you have a terrible, self-image, you're probably not going to do a good job of loving somebody else. But you have to love your neighbor. You have to consider your neighbor. There's several other verses in the Bible that says consider others better than yourself, meaning think about others. Don't live so self-focused and so self-centered that all you can think about is yourself. Sadly, like I said, 90% of the population are center of the universe people. They think the world revolves around them. They are the sun and the moon and the stars, and everything else just orbits around them. So one of my biggest issues with that is a lack of consideration. I truly believe that when I was growing up in the 80s and the 90s, people were very considerate of others. Gentlemen opened the door for ladies and children, and if there was a seat available, a gentleman would give it to a lady before he would himself sit in it. Now there are young men, grown men, don't matter, all kinds of men, or sorry, excuses for men, sitting in chairs while pregnant women stand, while elderly women stand. Like, there's just a lack of consideration and respect and honor for people, because everyone is a center of the universe person. So with all that to say, as a Christian, we are supposed to be different. We are supposed to be the salt that flavors the world. We're supposed to be the light that illuminates the darkness, and we're supposed to be different. We're supposed to be a peculiar people that are so weird in a good way, not in a bad way, because I've seen lots of weird people in a bad way, and I'm like, don't want to be anything like them. Not talking about that. I'm talking about the people that you see, and it just looks like there is just sunshine on top of them. They're just always happy, and they're just always sunshiny, and there's just groups of people that surround them, and everybody around them is just always happy all the time because they have such positive, just encouraging energy. I'm talking about those people. When you look at them and you're like, I want what they have. I want to be like them. Well, it's probably the Holy Spirit. They probably have a very intimate relationship with Jesus. They probably spend time in the Word every day, listen to gospel music, going to church, feeding themselves the Word of God, daily putting on the armor of God, and daily trying to grow in the fruits of the Spirit. You can look that up in Galatians. But with all that to say, they are also probably considering others. When they drive, the way they dress, the way they act, the way they think, the way they talk, they consider others. I was in gospel choir for many years, and I don't have the best singing voice, but I make a joyful noise unto the Lord because I love Him. When I was in gospel choir, we would dress right. So we would dance and, do our little beboppy thing. And we would have to look to the person right of us and match them. I was in the soprano section, so I went very high in my range. And sometimes if I was too high, I'd have to bring myself low so that we would blend in as a group. I would have to consider the people that were singing next to me. I'm grateful for those lessons, because now if I'm singing a little too loud, I'm like, oh, I need to tone it down. Not that I need to water myself down, because I will never do that. But you have to be considerate of others. Y'all, we live in a world that it's so easy to be self-centered and self-focused and me first, right? You're at a bakery and there's one more of something left. I honestly, sometimes like, can you cut that in half? I'll just take half of it. If they want the other half, they can have it. I'm always thinking of others. Why? Because Bobby and Michelle taught me to always think of others. No matter where I go, I try to leave every area better than I find it. Without fail, every time. I can go in a bathroom, and if there's water on the sink, I will clean it up. Even if I'm in a public bathroom. I want to leave places better than I find them. I want to consider others. I want to be a light in a dark world. I want people to look at me and be like, there is something different about her. And then I want them to figure it out, that difference is that I follow Jesus. And that I don't just say that I'm a Christian. I actually am one. I don't just talk and, wear a cross around my neck or have a Jesus little bumper sticker. I actually live it out day in, day out. I don't use filthy language. I don't dress immodestly. And that's not that I couldn't, because I could. I choose not to, because I consider, first of all, that I am a treasure to the Lord. And I would never, ever want to put myself in a dumpster. And I feel like when you dress trashy, that's what you do. And all the attention that you get is trashy attention. People aren't looking at you for your value. People aren't looking at you and thinking, wow, that's a beautiful woman. They're looking, saying, dang, she got a big butt. She got big boobs. She let it all hang out. Okay. I don't want that kind of attention. I consider others. And I consider myself. If they're, if somebody is running a red light, I normally take a second and look around at a red light, and I consider others, and I think, okay, is everybody else making the right choice right now? Because I want to make sure that I am. I just want to encourage you, be considerate. I know it's not easy. I know sometimes it's harder. Do you put your shopping cart away? Or do you just leave it there for somebody else to do? When you're in a grocery store and you pick up something and you change your mind, do you go and put it back, or you just leave it there? That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Are you a considerate person? Do you consider others? Or do you only consider yourself? Consideration goes a long way. Like I was saying earlier, if you need to get over, consider maybe slowing down a little bit and getting behind the person instead of speeding up and cutting them off. If somebody is letting you go, consider waving and thanking them and just feeling like smiling at them. That goes a long way. Consider letting somebody go first. If you see an elderly person that's walking in front of you, don't hurry up and run to the door to get seated before they do. Let them go first. There's just so many times where I see people being inconsiderate, like with the little shopping buggies at the carts at the store. Do you just leave it in the middle of the parking lot so that it can, roll and crash into somebody's car? Or do you return it? It's a convenience. Having a buggy when you're shopping, having a cart is a convenience. It's a blessing. And if you can't have the blessing, maybe bring a bag. If you don't want to return the cart, just don't use it. It's like the littlest things in the world go the farthest way. Like today, I had a lunch meeting with somebody, and I had given her son tickets to a concert. I couldn't use them. Sorry, my lunch is squeaking. It reminds me of that Walker Hayes song that talks about the cooler squeaking, because that's kind of what's happening. Anyway, she gave me a card at lunch, and I'm like, oh, what is this? It was a thank you card. That is such a simple way to show consideration for somebody. If they consider you, take the extra time to write them a thank you card. It goes a long way. I just wish we as a society, instead of caring about likes on Instagram posts and Facebook posts and YouTube posts, instead of caring about stuff like that, I wish we cared about things like consideration. I wish we took the extra time to make someone feel special or to do something really nice for them, even though it wasn't required of us, even though we didn't have to do it. I wish we did that. Like, for instance, I went to a country concert, 2 weeks ago, and I sat there for, I kid you not, 45 minutes. Anita, if Anita's watching, she'll laugh because she sat in the passenger seat with me. And we sat there and we did not move. Nobody would let us out. And so then there's this little minivan that the truck behind was letting out. And so I think, okay, somebody took the time to let this guy get out. He's gonna let me go. Nope. I start going and he hurry up, slams on his gas, cuts me off, doesn't let me go. And I'm like, are you kidding? Now, this is getting real with Ashley Dawn, and be real. I was really upset and I slammed on my horn and I rolled down my window. I'm like, what are you doing? What in the world are you doing? Somebody let you go. The whole rule is one lets one. So one person lets one person go, then that person lets one person go, and you take your turn and everybody works together and they let each other go. But this person was not having it. There was almost like 3 different fights, not by me. I wasn't trying to fight anybody, but they would have got out their car, I might have had to. I'm just being real. But there were like 3 different fights. People are cussing each other out. They're blaring really vulgar music, yelling at each other, hollering. Then a lady is in front of me, or she's to the side, and she rolls her windows down. And she's like, could I go? Could you let me go? I'm like, absolutely. She was so considerate. And so I waved her along, and guess what? Not 2 seconds after I waved her along, the guy behind just floors it, doesn't say anything, almost hits me and hits her in the process of trying to hurry up and get out of there. And it's just like a lack of consideration. Granted, there was alcohol involved, I'm sure, at that concert, and he was probably under the influence and shouldn't have been operating a vehicle. In the town that I am from, for those of you who don't live here, we recently, within the last month, had 2 head-on collision drunk driving incidences, and both of the people were one was a 90-year-old man who was vivacious and had a great life. He dropped his wife off at the airport and he was coming home at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and somebody drunk hit him head on and killed him. And then the other one was a young girl, 20 or 21, was driving home and got hit head on by an older guy and died instantly. And it's just like, that is a lack of consideration for others. I don't drink alcohol. I speak against it all the time. There's nothing good that has ever came from alcohol except maybe cooking with it occasionally for flavor in food. But as far as alcohol goes, I've seen it take the most beautiful people and turn them into the ugliest people because they couldn't handle their liquor, and it just turned them into ugly people. And I've never drank. I never will drink. That is something that me and Jesus talked about when I was a little girl, and it ain't happening. I don't need it in my life. And so it's a consideration for others. It's a lack of consideration for others. If you want to go drink, that's fine. Get an Uber, get a cab, have a friend come pick you up. Don't be so inconsiderate of the people that are just trying to get home from work, the people that are just trying to live an honest life, to take their life into your hands because you couldn't get an Uber or because you had one too many drinks and wouldn't let somebody else drive. That is inconsiderate. If you want to drink, and here's another thing. I am not for bars. I don't really go to bars, maybe to eat, but as far as like you're driving to a place to drink alcohol and then you're driving home, I think bartenders should take keys. You want to drink? I'm gonna need your keys, and I'm gonna call you an Uber. Give me your card so I can charge it on file. Have some consideration for other people. It just drives me bananas. I just wish we could, I don't even know, put a task force together, the consideration task force, and we could just go around teaching people how to be considerate, how to care about others, how to not be self-centered, how to not think that the world revolves around you, because it does not. It does not revolve around you. Jesus, the only person the world does actually, in fact, revolve around, was humble, lived with humility, gave of himself for his brothers, for his friends. If Jesus wasn't self-centered, why are we? And I know, obviously Satan was self-centered and he wanted to be, whoa, oh, that car, I'm at a red light and that car just started going and I'm like, you better not be running that red light. But then they swerved into the other lane. I just really wish more people cared about others more than they care about themselves, because that is such a huge problem that I see. Just center of the world, center of the universe people, and people that run red lights, that's a center of the universe person. They think that wherever they're going is so important that they can put somebody else's life in jeopardy. So they don't care about a red light. They don't care. People that speed, which sometimes I speed, but I try not to go over 10 over the speed limit, especially if I'm in a work vehicle or doing something for work. But that's inconsiderate too, especially in school zones, and just inconsideration. A lack of consideration for others, a lack of believing that we have one planet, one earth. I'm from Florida, so we have one Florida, and we all need to share it. We need to share the roads. We need to share the air. We need to share the blessings that God has given us and make the world a better place by being kind, by being compassionate, by caring. It just drives me nuts. And I wanted to share that with you because maybe it drives you nuts too. Or maybe, just maybe, you have been a center of the universe person, and maybe you needed the reminder to stop and think of others, right? I always used to tell my preschoolers when I was a preschool teacher, you need to think before you speak. Is it thoughtful? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? Is it kind? If the things that you're getting ready to say are not any of those things, maybe you shouldn't say them. And I will say, here lately, God's kind of been dealing with me because I struggle with telling the truth and gossiping. Because there's a line where you're telling the truth and then there's a line where you're gossiping. And I never want to talk badly about other people behind their back. I don't like when people do it to me. I try to, always, if I wouldn't say it to their face, I don't say it behind their back. And I try to always say everything to people's faces so that I don't even have to worry about somebody saying that I said something behind their back. But it's very hard if somebody asks me a question and I know the truth to not share the full truth. That's it drives me nuts. And sometimes it's not my truth to share. And so I can't, because I need to honor that other person. And sometimes I'll just be like, that's their story. You need to ask them about it, because I can't, that's their story for them to tell. But that is a struggle. If I'm being honest, that is a struggle for me, because if somebody asks me a question, and here lately, there's been one of my friends that some stuff has happened with, and people keep asking me about him, and I'm like, you need to reach out to him. That's not my story to tell, and I don't want to be gossiping, but that's hard. But again, that goes to consideration. Are you considering others' feelings? If you were to share that thing, would it hurt that person's feelings? Maybe tell the person that's asking the question, hey, you need to ask that person. Anyway, that's my little nugget of wisdom for the day. Be considerate. God loves you. I love you, but He loves you way more. You are seen, you are celebrated, and you are so very loved. Let's join together and be Christians that aren't just Christians that say they are, but Christians that live like it. And let's be considerate of others. I love y'all. Catch you in the next one.